go into the dailies in the archives and pull. That's the actual clip of him skating, and then we pulled that moment where he falls, and you know.
Which is historically accurate. That's what happened.
Right.
1936 Olympics. He went out on the ice.
He did it in the Summer Olympics.
He did. That's why they switched it to the Winter Olympics after that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That all makes sense.
Yeah.
So I have to imagine for you it was a quick yes too, and also just the fertile ground of like, which moment in history do you want to take? Which other actors can we pull in to do it? It's been so fun.
Well, as Nick was asking me, in my mind, I was like, I will do a Civil War story. I will play Ulysses S. Grant, just trying to get a drink. But yeah, again, when you're calling someone, you're like, hey, do you want to spend 2 days with your friends working on a Mel Brooks joint? They could not say yes fast enough. So we just got a list of killers: Jack Black, Taika Waititi, Zazie Beetz, Dove Cameron. You guys love Dove Cameron. You love her music.
Yeah.
Like, my articles, I know. But it was just a reunion of a bunch of friends of ours. And I'm just going to tell a quick story.
Yeah.
Our still photographer was this guy named Aaron. And he said to me that he went to go see his doctor. And his doctor's an older man, and his doctor said, what are you working on? He said, History of the World Part 2. And his doctor took his glasses off and kind of sat down and said, when I was a young boy in Iran, a man would come with a suitcase that had VHS tapes in it. And one of those was History of the World Part 1. And my brothers and I watched it. For years, the man would come back and we'd say, when is Part 2 coming out? Now we can finally say,
do it for him.
Try to describe, if you can, the writer's room for this project.
Well, it was over Zoom, largely, because we were writing this in the middle of the pandemic.
Mostly prisoners.
Yes. And we got an incredible group of writers to come in and sculpt the show, and Mel would participate. The scariest thing is trying to write material and then present it to Mel, because he was involved at every stage of this. We did a read through of a bunch of sketches, and Mel came on and said, I liked the musical numbers, because you can't do a Mel Brooks project without some musical numbers. He said, I liked the musical numbers, and I liked some of the reads, which is very funny. And then he said at the end, we're going to get some letters about this, and that's good. Now he's still talking about letters. But it speaks to a larger thing about what Mel wanted out of the show, which is to continue to be provocative. Mel Brooks's work is always provocative, but always kind of silly as well, and that was sort of a goal for us, is to try to, make something that was very funny and talking social satire, but never taking itself too seriously.
So when you say he said letters, that proves that he's actually 98, not 98.
Yeah, exactly.
He did tell us though. He said, "Don't be afraid to make dirty jokes." And we really took that to heart.
You
The show
really
is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it is. Let's watch another clip here. This is where Nick offers his interpretation of Judas.
So what do you think of the show? Not for me. Well, Jesus loved it. Please, Jesus loves everything. The guy can't stop saying, oh, I love this. He's just looking for followers. Look at Jesus over here. Look at him. Absolutely whooping down that bacon cheeseburger. Oh, that looks so good. Bacon cheeseburger? Hold on. That's not kosher. Wait, none of the food here is kosher. Oh, please, let him sin. Whoa, hold the phones. Wait a minute, I just ate a bacon wrapped scallop and baby back ribs. You mean to tell me none of it's kosher? You know what? I'm livid. As a Jew, I'm livid. You know what? I want props. I can understand why you're pissed, because something is going on with this Jesus guy. He's trying to phase out his Judaism.
I mean, JB Smooth, Richard Kind, obviously a little nod to Larry David there. Yeah,
just a small nod. Very subtle, very subtle.
You'll get some letters. So how did the process go to pick which historical figures to be represented? I mean, Willie mentioned a couple of them. There's Shakespeare, there's Rasputin, there's seeing Stalin, played by Jack Black. Talk about how that came about.
Well, Nick and Juan and I each kind of had ideas of who we wanted to do. I wanted to play U.S. Grant. He was one of our hottest presidents. We can all agree on that.
Sure.
Nick had in his head this character, Schmuck Buttman, and we wanted to do a huge Russian Revolution storyline. And Wanda was very adamant. She's like, I want to play Shirley Chisholm. She's inspiring, but also very funny. And then along the way, we would just kind of think of, what is a funny situation? Oh, writer's room with Shakespeare, where he's a nightmare boss. Let's get Josh Gad. Perfect. And so it really was just, it lined up with just characters we created and just people that wanted to come play it.
And you know, like Taika Waititi plays Freud, and it's his master class. So it's finding the alchemy of what is a funny character and also like a genre that would be interesting to see it in. Kublai Khan and Marco Polo. And
Kublai Khan does a commercial for Concestry.com because we're all pretty much related to him on some level, possibly. So we really tried to, take a historical person or situation and say, how can we make this very stupid? And I think most of the time we succeed.
I don't want to give away too much, but one of the great strokes of genius, George Wallace, the great comedian, playing.
Yes.
George Wallace, the governor from Alabama. It was, we tried to do casting wherever we could.
See? It's so good. It's so good. And your fans will be happy to know there's a little Gil Faizon tucked away in the show. And I'm not going to say anything else. That's all.
That's it. I know the Morning Joe fans are, the crossover is massive with Gil Faizon and
Oh, was that just me?
You know what's kind of incredible when you think back to the original, Carl Reiner, Mel Brooks, 2,000-Year-Old Man, the root of that and what it's grown into stuff like this and more, much more.
For sure. I mean, it's his influence, Mel and Carl, but Mel's influence on all of us is huge, and it made casting the show a lot easier because we could call up Johnny Knoxville. Johnny called us and was like, "Hey, I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan. If you need anything," I was like, "Great." And we're like, "Well, then he should be Rasputin, because who else was who tried to kill people tried to kill as much as Rasputin as Johnny Knoxville?" So we did Jack Rasp, and so it's filled as much as possible with people like that. Sarah Silverman was like, "If you need anything," and also we were able to cast the show.
If we don't win a Kennedy Center honor for the show, we have faith. Just to be clear.
You're on your way. Before we let you go, by the way, we have to congratulate this man. He is the newly crowned champion of Celebrity Jeopardy.
What is?
Thank you, Willie.
We were watching all this and look at Ike go. This guy's good. Now you're on to the tournament of champions where the stakes only get higher.
If Johnny Gilbert retires, I think that's future right
That was my audition tape right there. Nailed it. Guys, congrats on the series. It is so funny. The first 4 episodes of History of the World Part 2 are streaming now on Hulu. Nick Kroll, Ike Baron. We'll see you guys.
Thanks so much for having us.
We'll be right back with more Morning Joe.
Thank you.